Louis Vuitton. But yeah, I had to learn how to speak this thing well so I can know what I was doing. If this is your first time, I am Nez. Welcome to Nez Telly. If this is not your first time, welcome back. We are reading about the maestro. Should we call him maestro? The lead bag maker, Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton was born in a poor country village in France. And at the age of 8, due to some disputes, no, at the age of 10 actually, due to some disputes between him and his stepmother, because his mom had died and his father remarried, and they were having a lot of back and forth, and the father did not support him. The father supported her most times. At the age of 10, he packed his things and dipped out of his home. Spent a few years, or about a year, traveling through to get himself to Paris, because he just knew that his life was made for more. Now, the way the book is described is that he always did not feel pleased about how country his life was. Like, he didn't enjoy farm life. He just knew that he was built for more. So he left his home, and on the way he was just working for money. So it's like he would work for money, or work for food, or work for anything, for shelter. So he would just lend a hand here in a farm. He would help with this. So like, as he did that, he continued to acquire skills, and he continued to go like that. Then eventually he lands in Paris. Now, in Paris, there were already systems that existed that actually helped people like interns. And at the age of, I think, 13, he started working for his boss, who was the lead bag maker. Now, what I need to take away from here is the history of bag making. Okay, because wow, it was crazy. The writer actually said, or the author actually said that, this whole time when we believe that people pack a lot of things to travel, like some people want to travel and they're going for a 4-day summer vacation, and you see, why do you pack 5 clothes, 2 swimwear, 5 underwear, this one, that's even small. That people used to pack musical instruments to travel back in the day. So it's like the enormous way people used to pack, and for everybody that needed to travel, they had to custom make bags just for those things. So people would travel with their pianos, that's their piano, travel with wardrobes, travel, so like people move even beds just to travel. So like, you're trying to get to France from Germany and you need to go to by ship, you will just pack all this. So like, with all this thing happening, you're going to have boxes being made. So that was what luggage makers did. So but of course, this is the privilege of being in the upper class. So it wasn't everybody that used to travel back then. So it's like the lower class people would do all the walking around them and all that, but the upper class people were the people that were doing all this. So and your job most times as the baggage maker is you will go to their houses and help them to pack the things together. That was part of your job. So it wasn't just that you're a luggage maker, you were a luggage maker and a packer, someone that packs everything together. So it's like, you pack it well, help make sure that it's loaded into the truck that will take it to the ship, right? And then when it gets there, somebody else will figure out how to unpack it, and you're fine. Now, most boxes at this point was made of leather. Louis Vuitton started working for his boss when he was 13 years old, and he stayed there till he was 32. Even though the mandatory internship, mentorship relationships usually lasted 7 years. But he just stayed there and continued working because, he was good at his job, and he was bringing in a lot of good clients for the man. And the man was able to pay him a good wage. And in paying that wage, they also give him a place to stay and food to eat. And somehow he was able to manage his life like that and just kept going. So by the time he became 31 and he was ready to go, he was actually like, he had established himself as somebody, because people just knew, oh, this Louis Vuitton that works for this guy, let's follow him. So he went and opened his own store with the money that he had made off his boss, because even though he was getting paid, he had a shelter and he had food. So he saved every single money that he had, and he picked it and kept it in his he used it to pay for the new store. Now, he paid for the new store, and one of his first big clients was one big woman like that. Let's call her a princess. She's not a princess, she was married to one of the big royal people, but let's call her a princess because I don't have energy to get into that that explanation. So he used that as kind of like his mantra, the luggage, whatever, of the, that kind of thing. Now, back then, leather was the major way goods were moved, and he started thinking of other ways to make luggage, because leather wasn't as helpful as he thought it was. Like, there were issues where leather had a smell, so the smell influenced people's clothes. The smell would seep into people's clothes, so their clothes would smell of leather. Worse, some of these ship trips were actually quite like tumultuous, like plenty things they happen for inside that ship. So it's like if a fish, a whole bag of fish was beside the luggage in the carriage area, without fail, the fish smell will enter into the clothes too, because that's what leather does. It absorbs smell from outside. So Louis started thinking of ways to change the way the bags were made, and then he started making is it canvas? Yes, canvas, like cotton. Yeah, he started making canvas. So he made canvas, very thick canvas, and used it and started making boxes. Now, back then, trunks, what we know trunks to be, were made with an up. There used to be, I'm sure you've seen it before. If you see old films, you notice that the top was what's that word? It was caved. It was arched like that. It was a curved top, and the reason why that was done was so that if rain fell on it or if water pours on it, it would just slip off, because water sustains on if water stays on the top of leather for long enough, it would seep into the clothes and it will leave a smell. So he created the canvas. When he started doing the canvas, he realized that this idea didn't make any sense anymore. So he made the flat top. So the reason why we actually have flat top trunks as luggage till today is because of people like Louis Vuitton. And for him, the reason why he made a flat top was, first of all, it has we don't have the problem of the leather anymore. Water can actually stay on top of this canvas material that he had made without it seeping into the clothes and without it staying on. Somehow it will just stay on top, and then when you shift the box, water will just move away, and that's it. That was number one. Number two was the boxes became easier to stack. You know, so it's like when you see a picture where you see Louis Vuitton stack, that was the selling point. Because before then, the boxes were arched, and you couldn't, like, if you just place a box somewhere, you couldn't put something on top of it unless you create an entire frame on top of it, then put the box on top. But Louis Vuitton boxes, once you place it, boom, 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 it goes up like that. He created this, and boom, it was a hit. It was a big hit. Everybody suddenly wanted these boxes. And you know how these things are, like at first people are like, I don't get it. But then the proof is in the pie. By the time people traveled, went to where they went to, came back, and the boxes were not as beaten down and their clothes weren't as horrible as the people that had it. Everybody else, so like his word traveled wide. So someone will go to Denmark, right, and come, and the person will say, oh, where'd you get this box from? Oh, this is very good. I will say, oh, that this thing happened to my clothes, this has happened to my this, blah, 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 blah. They'll be like, oh, there's a guy called Louis Vuitton, and he's in Paris, and people were coming, and boom, suddenly, markets don't land. So it's like, one of the things you love about Louis Vuitton is that it's a story of innovation, because he's someone that just saw things and always wanted to change it, down to when he started creating handbags, when he started creating, so like his things were able to do well with things like safari. He started creating locks for clothes so that they don't get, for boxes, so they don't get vandalized. You know, so like with time, he just started doing all of this, and it's such a story of, like I said, resurrection, because at a particular point there was a war. He had moved his factory out of the city of Paris. He had moved it to the outskirts because he didn't have enough. There wasn't enough space in Paris city go, and then he moved to the outskirts. And then when he gets there, somehow a war breaks out and they destroy his entire factory. But somehow he had money that he had saved, so he was somebody that was very frugal with his money. He was married. He had children. His son eventually took over. His son is the one that actually created what we call the LV logo now, the LV monogram. That's what it's called. So like the LV monogram that we know now is his son that did that. And so Louis Vuitton is just an inspiring person. He's someone that you just want to, you're like, wow, you're I don't know, you're wowed by him, you know. But that's it with this book. Beautiful book, lovely, lovely, lovely. There's so much more. Honestly, I listened to it on Everand, and it's such a short book, which is what I like. The book was, I don't think it was up to 4 hours. Or even 3. It was such a short book, so I listened to it like 2 or 3 times, which just made it easy for me to just be able to stay here and share with you. It is so cool to have you back, and I cannot wait to hear back from you. So please let me get a like, a subscribe, and then let me know what you think. What do you know about Louis Vuitton? Do you own a Louis Vuitton item? Until next time, see you.